Hello there, World of Tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Adrodals Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the TL-7 120, an American Tier 9 collector heavy tank. A vehicle that, I'm going to be honest, Wargaming has no clue what they're doing with. Not because of how they've balanced it, but because when this vehicle first entered the Blitz files, it was going to be a light tank. And then Wargaming said, you know what, nah, we're not going to make it a light, we're going to make it a tank destroyer. Nah, I don't think it's a tank destroyer. Let's make it a medium. No, let's make it a heavy. There you go. I'm not even joking. It literally went through 3 stages of different tank classes before Wargaming decided it was going to be a heavy. It was originally going to be an auto-loading tank destroyer. Like, what? How do you go from an auto-loading tank destroyer to a heavy tank? And it wasn't even going to be tier 9, it was going to be tier 8. Like, oh well. Sometimes I never understand the devs at Wargaming. But, with that aside, I'm going to be letting you know everything you need to on this vehicle, with its statistics, its armor profile, and how I feel this vehicle is going to be performing when it is released into the game. I should point out that all these statistics are subject to change most likely in the future, whether Wargaming thinks it's too good or they think it's outright dog doo-doo. So make sure you keep that in mind. I'm not really sure what to say about this tank. I wouldn't say I'm excited for it because it just looks kind of boring in my opinion, but well, I guess we will see. Now, I should also point out, if you're wondering why I've got a blanket up to my neck, it's really cold in my room because it's downstairs, and it was a really cold night last night, so I got a blanket on to keep me all warm and toasty. So, let's break into the stats. I should point out that equipment-wise, we are running gun rammer, enhanced unlaying drive, and as well V-stabs. So we're not running refined gun or anything like that. For provisions, running double food and fuel. So this is a fully equipped vehicle. Keep that in mind. Weight is 43 tons, which is not that much, but this is quite a small vehicle, as you can see by its little profile here. The aiming time is 3.8 seconds, and that's actually not that good, I'm going to be honest. A vehicle like the WZ-114, the Chinese heavy tank that was released into the game just a couple days ago from recording this video, the Chinese 114 has a 3.5-second aiming time, and that vehicle's got a 470 alpha gun. This vehicle has a 400 alpha gun, and its aiming time is not great compared to it. So I guess we'll have to see how the hidden on-movement dispersion stats are when it is further released, but you better hope they're good because that is not a good aiming time. 0.326 dispersion is actually decent. I wouldn't say it's anything great, but it's good, you know? It's enough to cut through most people in front of you. You're not going to miss the majority of your shells. So yeah, the dispersion seems fine. Damage per minute is 2,800. Yeah, you heard that right. 2,800 damage per minute. That right there is the part of the vehicle that seems really, really strong, and that's going to be its main strength. And I should also point out that this vehicle can run tungsten shells. Yeah, so if you're running tungsten shells and adrenaline on this vehicle, you're going to absolutely demolish people in front of you. Oh man, does this thing seem incredibly powerful in that aspect. When we take a look at the penetration, it's got 250 millimeters on the standard, 330 on the heat, which is the same as the AE Phase 1, a little bit less than your Tier 9 tech tree, M103, which sits at 340 millimeters of heat pen, but still, 330 is plenty. If you're running Cali, that's going to be like 360 something. It's a lot of pen, and it will cut through any Tier 10 you're aiming at. E100 turret, no problem. Type 71 upper plate, no problem, but you do have to be running calibrated shells, I should point out, to get that extra pen. I probably will be, but yeah, if you want to have that DPM, go for rammer. I think it'll be good with either aspect. When we take a look at the average damage, it's not a lot. 400 on the standard, 340 on the heat, so yeah, it's a bit on the lower side. It's definitely going to struggle with higher alpha vehicles, but at the same time, at least it does have that really good DPM to make sure you can outtrade your opponents. Gun depression-wise, 7 degrees. Very odd number. I always feel like American Heavy should have 8 or even 9 degrees of gun depression. 7 is going to make this tank really weird, especially for that hatch on the roof you're going to see when we take a look on the armor. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. Top speed is 36 kilometers per hour and a reverse of 10. So, yeah. Top speed is decent, especially with the power to weight, 17.3, averages 32, so the mobility on its forward speed is good. But the reverse speed, oh my god, 10? Are you serious, Wargaming? I thought we've moved away from the 10 kilometer per hour zone. I thought that was vehicles like the E5 back in the day, but nope, we're still letting vehicles go 10 in reverse, I guess. And yeah, that makes this the slowest reversing tier 9 in the game. Congratulations, Wargaming. Yeah, that's really disappointing. I don't know why they would do that. And because of that, one number right there, I think it's going to destroy a lot of the flexibility this vehicle has, especially because while you're trying to back up and hide that hatch, people are just going to dome you. If we take a look at this vehicle's weight, again, only 43 tons, so it won't be great at ramming. But you know what it is very good at is turning. 40 degrees of traverse speed, yeah, that is pretty dang impressive. That means you will easily out-traverse any tanks trying to outmaneuver you. Hit points wise, this vehicle does carry sandbags, and I'm not sure if Asen put on the sandbags when it comes to this vehicle's loadout, but I'm going to assume he did, and we're going to say that's 2,120 hit points with sandbags on. So not the most hit points out there, but at least it does have some hit points. It is a heavy after all. If we take a look at the armor, which will be in just a moment, we can see the turret's about 230 base on the front, but look at the sides and the rear. Oh, and same for the hull. The front of the hull is decent, but the sides and the rear are absolutely awful. Terrain crossing capacity on this vehicle is pretty decent. On road, it'll go very, very fast. On ground, it won't. And on water, it's even slower. So far, statistically, what can I say about this vehicle? I think it actually looks pretty decent. It's just that reverse speed that I really don't like. The reverse speed at 10 is going to make this tank incredibly boring to drive. Yes, it's got DPM, it's got some mobility on top speed, but just drive a Type 68, drive an M103. These tanks don't have the reverse speed problem that this vehicle does. Even the M103 is pretty slow in reverse, but Type 68 isn't at all. I think the thing goes 20, 19 in reverse. It's really mobile. Nah, sorry, it's 15 in reverse. I don't know why I thought 20. You know what also has really good reverse speed? The 50 TP. It's got a stronger turret than this vehicle, as you're going to see in a moment. I don't know. This vehicle seems, at least right now, like it could be in need of a buff. I would buff that reverse speed to about 14, 15, and I think the vehicle would be fine. Apart from that, everything else looks pretty dang good. Let's take a look at the armor profile. So this is what it looks like to an M103 firing AP with Callion, with enhanced armor. The upper plate is decent. It's 330 thick, and it goes upwards on some spots to 340, so it's a good upper plate. We can see that there's this really troll bar here that I guarantee while you're using the vehicle is going to annoy the crap out of you. It's going to get you penned for no reason that you can really block on your own, and it's just going to annoy you. But that's just something that has to do with the armor profile. When we take a look at this vehicle with 7 degrees of gun depression, that little funky bar does go away, and we can see that it's actually pretty dang strong. Even with heat shells, you're never going to penetrate this vehicle. This is 374 heat. You have no chance of penetrating that upper plate. If we take a look at the turret, it's pretty good. Even with Cali, this is M103 heat, 374, the highest you'll get against a heavy. That's actually pretty solid turret armor. It does have spaced armor, as we can see, on the edges, so it's really, really solid turret armor, and because of that, the tank is going to be incredibly powerful at hull down capabilities. But I should point out that spaced armor does not work very well. It's just enough to make it hard to penetrate on the front. When it comes to this hatch, this is going to be the Achilles heel of the vehicle. That hatch is only 55 thick at some angles. And yes, it does go up to 200, but look at it. It's just a big green blob. Who is going to struggle to pen that? Even if we pull out tier 8s, I don't know, a T-32, which has mediocre pen, look at that. The whole hatch is still a pen with AP. That is going to absolutely destroy the fun in this tank. The reverse speed of 10 paired with that huge hatch is going to make this a very poor vehicle in my opinion, because literally every time you poke, its hatch is going to be a weak spot. Even with the 7 degrees of gun depression that it carries, look at how visible that hatch is. If it had 10 degrees, at least the hatch would be somewhat more hidden. But no, it's just awful. Wow, I gotta say, this tank does not look like it's going to be really good. I would at least shave off this top part of the hatch here and have it only about this part. That way, when at least you're using gun depression, it's a little bit harder to hit, but oof, that is not going to be a fun hatch to encounter while driving this vehicle. When it comes to the side armor on this tank, it's only about 78 thick, which means at even slightly angling the tank, we can see it becomes incredibly weak, even to a tier 8 heavy. Lower plates also absolutely awful, only 98 millimeters thick. That means any vehicles with HESH are going to cut right through your lower plates. The rear armor on this vehicle is also quite as bad, 48 and 42, which means even HE shells from a T-32 can penetrate through the rear of this vehicle. It carries that normal, awful American rear armor, and the rear of the turret, as we can see, is also the same, being quite equally bad. So, armor profile of the tank. Everything looks honestly decent. It's just the fact that it's got that hatch. I don't know why this is a heavy. I do kind of agree with Wargaming's original statement. I would have rather had this be a I would have rather had it be a medium tank or a light tank. I think that it would have been a lot better off if it had no armor. It kind of looks like a medium to me, personally. It doesn't really look that much like a heavy. It's too small, but yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what to say about this vehicle currently. I don't know how Wargaming is going to balance it in the future. I do think that this vehicle will change statistically, but if it doesn't and it stays the way it currently is, I will not suggest you to pick it up. I can already tell you for a fact, just looking at its statistics, the reverse speed of 10 paired with that absolutely huge hatch and not great gun depression is going to make this an incredibly boring and just not fun tank. You know what would completely counter this vehicle is literally just pull out, as I said, a 50 TP. Sure, 50 TP does not have nearly the DPM, but I mean, look, nah, that's the wrong 50 TP. This 50 TP. But look at the turn armor. I mean, you don't even have hatches when hull down. And even with APCR, you have no chance of penning it. Even if we pull out M103 heat, which is 374, that turret is almost impervious. And the fact that this vehicle has 20 kilometers per hour in reverse, it's a tech tree. It's just flat better. Why would I drive that thing? I just don't personally really understand it. There's just a lot of heavies that I feel like are better. I mean, the Type 68, it's got a weaker turret when it comes to the cheeks, but the vehicle still has really solid upper plate armor. It's got really good side armor, and it has no hatch. I don't know. I just think Wargaming is not going to do a great job on this vehicle. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.